Hello there, bestie, and welcome to the Empower and Evolve podcast. I am your host, Kat. I will be your guide on this transformative journey. I'm a hypnotherapist and a mindset coach that is here to reconnect you to your most empowered and liberated self. This podcast is a space where we will explore the vast landscapes of mindset, career, business, cyclical living, energetics, spirituality, and beyond. I invite you to join me as we traverse these expansive topics, igniting the spark of liberation within you and setting the stage for an empowering evolution into your most authentic self. Without further ado, it's time to plunge into today's episode. What's up, bestie? It's been a hot minute since I've recorded anything business related. And I'm really excited to share with you the reflections of my most recent launch, which I would personally consider my most successful launch I've ever done. And the main reason for that is that it just felt so effortless. And I didn't have that huge post-launch come down that I've experienced in the past. And this was a very, very different launch for me. And I'm really excited to share with you about it. But one of the reasons why I want to start to bring more business content back into this podcast and even onto my social media is I recently paid someone to look at my natal chart, my astrology chart, through the lens of business and content creation and how to utilize my natal chart to create content. And one of the first things that this beautiful woman said to me was, you have a lot of placements in business and money. You would do amazing in guiding people in business and money. And I thought that that was so curious because I have a business mastermind. A few of my one-on-one clients that I coach are related to business. I love talking about business. I have been in business for 7 years. I have a 6-figure business and I run my business very differently to the average person. And then the whole money thing. Well, for so long already, I have been thinking about, I'd love to launch some kind of a mini course on money because I love talking about money and it's such a taboo. I love talking about anything taboo related, which is also something that's in a placement in my natal chart. So that was really cool. And I was like, oh, well, that's really interesting. And then on one of my recent one-on-one calls with my coach, I said to her, I would love to call in more one-on-one clients to coach in business because currently one of my clients who I absolutely love and adore and who I feel so accomplished with every time that we have a call is someone that I coach in business. So I was like, okay, let's start to bring the business content back because for a while, I steered away from it because of all sorts of reasons, mainly because at one point I felt like I had to become a business coach in order to step into my next level version of myself. And I felt like I had to coach a certain way and build my business a certain way. And that just didn't feel aligned anymore. Like after everything I went through at the start of this year and kind of coming back to my truth of really stepping into feminine embodiment, stepping into healing. And it just felt like the business had to kind of be set aside. While still on the side, I've been running my Liberated Woman Mastermind now for 4 months, and it's been super fun, super, super fun. It's a spin-off from my original mastermind that I ran, my Empower and Evolve Mastermind, which was incredible as well. Yes, I knew that there needed to be a rebrand. And I'm not going to share this anywhere on my social media, but I'll let you know. The Liberated Woman Mastermind is going to open the doors again in September. So it makes sense to start talking about business to get you ready and start saving so that you can join the Liberated Woman Mastermind when the doors open again in September. Yay. Okay, let's talk about my most recent launch for Unleashed. Oh my goodness. I loved this launch for so many reasons. First of all, Unleashed is so near and dear to my heart. It literally feels like my life's work. And I'm thrilled to have put together a 3-month course where I teach women everything I have learned over the last 5 and a bit years as I have been on my journey of reclaiming my feminine and healing my wound with the masculine. And I decided that I was going to run this launch in a very feminine way, which means there's not that much structure. And it's more about being in flow. So, first of all, I want to tell you a couple of things that I didn't do for this launch this time. And these are some of the things that in the past I have been told by different coaches, different mentors that I had to do in order to run a successful launch. So, what did I not do? First of all, and this one felt extremely edgy because this was the first time I was going to do a launch where I didn't offer a freebie as a lead in to the course. No free masterclass, no free PDF, no free Instagram series giving a bit of insight into what I was going to teach in the course. Nada, nothing. I also didn't follow a strict marketing plan. And this was actually something I decided literally the day I was making the announcement, because I had a call with my coach again. And I kind of told her that, oh my God, I felt so behind because I didn't have like all the emails and all my content plan, blah, 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 created for the launch. And she was like, well, do you really need it? And I was like, no, in the bin. I, with that, didn't prep all of my emails and content in advance. I didn't lead with sales calls, which is something I've done in the past when I've ran masterminds like this. That really, like, the way for me to call people in was about book a call with me, book a call with me, book a call with me. I had one sales call with one of the ladies who joined Unleashed, and she just wanted some clarity to see whether this was the right course for her, which is great. Like, I love hopping on sales calls, but I didn't lead with them. I didn't work crazy hours. This is something I've done in the past for launches, is work more than usual and really like sacrifice my personal life, etc., and really like go all in for the launch. I didn't do that this time. I actually, if I look at I'm going to tell you because I keep track of this stuff. On the first week of the launch, because it was a 2-week launch for me, on the first week, I worked 28.75 hours. And on the second week of the launch, I worked 29.5 hours. That's really not a lot. That's not a lot. So that was fun. I didn't sacrifice my personal life. I actually ensured that my personal life was number one. And this comes back, I'll bring this back into when I talk about the things that I did do for this launch. I didn't have a clear curriculum for the program. I didn't have like everything I wanted to cover each of the weeks and everything I was going to teach. And again, I'll circle back to this one when will tell you about what I did have. This was a big one for me, and it felt really edgy to lean into this one. And I'm actually very excited for this and to share with you what I did do instead. I didn't conduct any market research. I've never really been one for market research anyway, but some people were like, you have to do market research. But no. I didn't have a content calendar, so I didn't follow like a strict content calendar of what to post when, etc. None of it. Again, I'll circle back to this when I share with you what I did do instead. And then finally, I didn't pay for any ads. No ads. And the coolest thing is that out of the seven women that joined, six of them are new to my work when it comes to coaching and mentoring. That's pretty cool. Pretty freaking cool. So let me tell you what I did instead. The first thing, and this is, I believe, the most, well, there's two really crucial things. This was one of the most crucial things. I became crystal clear in who my soul client is and what the transformation was going to be from when she starts the program to the end of the program. And I became crystal clear on this. Crystal clear. I created this beautiful, like I journaled on this, like who is she? What is she struggling with? Where is she at right now? What are the problems she's facing? Where does she want to be? What has she tried in the past? What does she really need? I became so crystal clear on who my soul client is. And that led my whole launch. And I am so excited to let you know that the seven women that I've called in are my soul clients. They are literally the embodiment of the persona I created in my mind who I wanted to help. So freaking cool. So freaking cool. And then the second most important thing, I became the embodiment of the work I was going to teach inside Unleashed. I made sure that I was so connected to my feminine, to my wild woman, and that every single thing I was doing on a daily basis came from that place. I made sure I anchored into my self-care. I started my mornings slowly. I connected to my intuition daily. I allowed it to be a driving force in how I was leading this launch. I tapped into pleasure multiple times a day, multiple times. I let pleasure be my guide for this 2 weeks. Literally asking myself, how can I experience more pleasure? How can I tap into more pleasure? What is pleasure for me? And say no to everything that wasn't my desire or didn't give me pleasure. Huge. Absolutely freaking huge. And this is something I've actually been talking to a few of my clients who have in the past noticed that their businesses aren't growing, they're not making any money, they're not bringing in any clients. And my question often is, are you actually doing the work that you claim to be guiding people through? Because if you're not embodied in what you're teaching, energetically, your clients can feel that. And they're not going to want to buy from you. Because why should they be guided by you if you're not actually doing the work? You need to be embodied in the work that you teach. So, as a mindset coach, predominantly, this is the biggest thing I do. I need to ensure that my mindset is freaking tip top. It's the best it can be. And does that mean that I'm going to be great 100% of the time? Hell no. Hell no. I still have moments where my mindset wavers, where I slip into lack, where I do things I shouldn't do. But it's about how quickly I can coach myself to get out of that. That's the secret. And that's the secret why I have created a six-figure business and why I have incredible clients because I'm embodied in the work I do. And during the launch for Unleashed, because it was such a niche product, I made sure that I was even more embodied in the work that I was going to teach these women. Even though I wasn't even like 100% sure exactly what I was going to teach them, but I knew the transformation. I knew what I had to lean into in order to guide them through that. So those two things were the keys to this launch for me. Super keys. Who is my soul client? What is the transformation I'm going to be guiding them through? And being embodied in the work that I was going to teach them. And of course, I did the pre-launch work of, what is going to be the price? What is the early bird? How many days do I want to be in the early bird phase? Blah, 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 blah. Like I did all of that because, yeah, of course, you need to have some freaking clarity. Of course, like you still need some structure. I'm actually going to like sidestep here for a moment. And you may have heard me share this before because this is one of my favorite analogies to talk about. But it's the analogy of the feminine and masculine, the river and the riverbank. So the feminine is, creativity, flow, being in flow, being creative, being intuitive, etc. That's the feminine. And then the masculine is structure and systems. Now imagine the river. So it's a beautiful mountain river. It's the Kicking Horse River, if you know it. It's wild. It's furious. It's strong. It's beautiful. That's the feminine. And then we have the riverbank, which is the masculine. It's strong and embodied and rigid, but rigid in a good way. It's like established. What happens if we take the riverbanks away? The river flows out, like spreads out, and eventually dries out. And this is a perfect example of how the feminine needs the masculine. In order to be creative and to be in flow and to be connected with your intuition, you still need some structure and systems. You don't need like all of the freaking fancy structures and systems, but you need some. So the structures and systems that I had in place were like I knew the phase of my launch and when it was going to start and how many women, like how many spots I would fill, the prices. I knew my soul client. Like that was the structures that I had in place for this launch. Yeah, it was that simple. What else did I do? I worked less. I worked less, which is kind of crazy to think, hey? Because during a launch, like, what? I worked a maximum of 6 hours per day. So I worked less. I made sure that I wasn't working over 30 hours a week because I know for me personally, when I start to work over 30 hours a week, I ruin my magnetism. I'm a projector. I am not meant to be the workhorse. I am meant to be the guide, and I get paid for my insights and for my skills, not for the time that I put into work. And I've noticed this and I've played around with this for years now. The more I work, the more I dim my light, the less money I make. Doesn't make any sense, right? But that's my structure. That's what works for me. And that may not work for you. And this is why it's so great to have an intuitive coach and like me who can help you figure out what works for you. That is the key. And then the second piece that is super important, third piece, fourth piece, whatever. I don't know why I said second. We're on the fourth thing that I did do, is I actually connected to the essence of my soul client daily. And this is a exercise I teach to the women inside the Liberated Woman Mastermind. Is actually connecting to your intuition and letting that lead the way in your business. So I changed it to match Unleashed. And I asked myself every day before I started working, I did my little ritual. I kind of did breath work. I tuned into myself. I grabbed my beautiful blue obsidian rock that I used to connect to my inner wise woman, to my intuition. And then I asked myself 5 questions. The first question is, who needs or desires Unleashed? And I allowed myself to notice a name drop in. I wrote that name down. Then, and this was a journaling process that I did after, the ritual. So the second question is, where is this person at right now? What is the problem she's facing? Again, I journaled. Step number 3, where does she want to be? Again, I journaled. Step number 4, why am I the right person to get her from A to B? Again, I journaled. Step 5, how should I deliver this content? Sometimes it was a post, sometimes it was a live, sometimes it was an email, sometimes it was a reel, sometimes it was a post and an email. This is how I created the content for Unleashed. I told the story of that woman in my content. And that's how my soul clients came in. I didn't know what I was going to post the next day. Every single day, I did this exercise to figure out the content I needed to post that day. I had more fun in my day to day. I prioritized pleasure. I already said that. That's part of the embodiment work, because this is a big piece of what I'm teaching inside Unleashed, is to start to have more fun and prioritize your fucking pleasure. On week 1, I actually gave the women the exercise to write a pleasure list. Like, what are the things that evoke pleasure in them, that evoke their 5 senses, their taste, their smell, their visuals, that what they hear, what they see, what they feel, and then make sure they're doing one thing from that list every single day. So I made sure I did that. And every single day, because I connected to those questions I just gave you, I connected with myself and why I am the right person to help these people. This has been the most effortless launch I've ever had. And I had so much fun with it. I broke all the rules. I told you all the things I didn't do. I broke all the rules. I had so much fun. I called in my soulmate clients. And I know that there were so many women who have literally told me that they hope I will run this again in the future. I don't know if I will yet. I don't know. So what I did was working. And I'm going to continue riding this wave and call in my soulmate clients, because business is 80% energetics and 20% systems and strategies. Because if you're not clear in your energetics, if you're not embodied in the work you do, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to bring in money. You may for a short period of time, but eventually it will fall and crumble. This is the most important work you'll need to do. And having a coach helps this. Like, my coach was a huge, huge help for me in this. Super key. And I love being this person for my clients. I've planned out launches with my clients. I've helped them see where their gaps are. I've helped them realize what they need to do. I've helped them rewrite their limiting beliefs and their stories of why they can't grow a business. I love coaching women in business, whether they are brand new or they've been in business for a few years. I love it because I love being in business for myself. It's been one of the best decisions in my life. It's one of the biggest success stories of my life. I've been in business for myself for over 7 years now. I've pivoted. I've done different things over the times, from yoga teaching to network marketing to doing human design readings to creating menstrual cycle courses to one-on-one coaching to you name it. Like, I know what I'm doing in business. I've learned a ton. I've made so many fucking mistakes. And I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't be on track to have my second six-figure year otherwise. I'm like way ahead of being on track to have my second six-figure year. I know what I'm doing and I'm fucking good at it. And I'm a really great coach because I bring in all of my holistic knowledge. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about this on the weekend, how I utilize human design. I utilize the menstrual cycle. Like, every single one of my clients gets individualized coaching because I do not believe that there's this one size fits all bullshit. I love coaching my clients. And I'm so freaking stoked about Unleashed. Oh, even just thinking about the call that we had this week, the first call, and the ladies and the shares and the vulnerability and the connection and just the beauty. I know that this 3-month journey is going to change these women's lives. And I'm so proud of every single one of them, including myself. That's all I have for you today. If you've listened to this and you're a woman in business and you're like, oh my God, Kat speaks my language, message me. I'm calling in a couple new business one-on-one long-term mentorship clients. Let's create your dream business. Let's help you break all the fucking rules and build a business that feels true to you. Let's figure out your unique success formula. Let's figure out who is your soul client and what is the work that you want to be doing, the work that lights you the fuck up. Let's figure it out. Let me guide you. Let me teach you my ways. I love you. Speak soon. Thank you for tuning into the Empower and Evolve podcast today, my dear bestie. If you found this episode inspiring and elevating, I would love for you to consider expressing your support by taking a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Help me extend the ripple of empowerment by sharing this podcast with those in your circle who may resonate with it. And if this episode has struck a chord within you, I extend a heartfelt invitation to share your experience on Instagram and make sure to tag me at It's Coach Kat, and let's spread the love together. Until we reunite in the next episode, may your journey be filled with empowerment, evolution, and the unwavering pursuit of your most authentic self. Now go and liberate yourself. And until next time, take care, my dear bestie.